Welcome back to Tapped In with Tony. I am your host, Tony Bogan, and today joining me is another musical guest of ours, Chris Hovers. Chris,
Yes,
thank you for
sir.
being on the show.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad to be here. It's always
And
a dope moment to be highlighted or to be even questioned when it comes to the music. So,
of course, I've been listening to a lot of your projects as we spoke before we started, and I really do like your stuff. You've put out, especially your recent EP, which I'm going to ask you about later.
okay. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah.
So tell us who you are for those who are just probably tuning in for the first time.
Okay. I'm Chris Hovers. I'm essentially I do so many things. I try to just say I'm a digital creator, but to kind of sum it all up, I'm a rapper, producer, engineer, filmmaker, creative director, like so many things. I'm from Washington D.C., born and raised there, Northeast D.C. I live in Atlanta now. That's where I'm based. And I came out here to go to school. I went to Emory University, did film studies there, graduated, moved in with a couple friends, started building. Well, they already had it built as far as our record label and media company. And so I just came into the equation and started adding value and still with them to this day. So, yep. Been doing
That's
music probably since 2016. Yeah, about early 2016 in college. I started producing first. Um, I was producing under the name Hoverboard Chris because I used to ride those little hoverboards that people used to have, like, and they used to catch on fire and all that crazy stuff. I had one of those when I was in college, and that's how people referred to me. They was like, "Oh, you talking about Hoverboard Chris?" So I produced under that name for a minute. One of my friends from school, shout out Dre Digits. He had recommended that I flip the name to Chris Hovers once I started rapping. So I've just been that ever since.
nice. And it's funny that you should mention the Atlanta DC connection. We had A. Charles on for an episode. He's
Hmm.
in DC and he was from Atlanta. You're from DC.
Crazy.
Now you're in Atlanta.
Yeah, crazy. And I met A. Charles through a family friend. So um I I my cousin's now husband introduced me to a friend of his. His name is Most of the God. He was telling me about him. He was like, "Yo, he's a great writer. He just needs somebody to help him put it together." And so worked with him. He did a podcast with Zell. Next thing you know, Zell introduced me to all my friends that I know now and who I'm connected with here late night, early morning. So it's been history ever since that. That was it.
And who are some of your biggest musical influences as you be embarked on the path to being a music creator? I know being in Atlanta,
Yeah.
you no shortage of influence.
Yeah, it ain't no shortage for sure. I would say when I first started actually considering like doing music, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Kanye West, like all those people. And then Kanye, especially on the production side, because when I got into production, that was around the time The Life of Pablo had dropped. So I really like all the beats from that whole album, and it kind of helped me understand the value of being that jack of all trades. You know what I'm saying? And so, just developed a love for producing my own stuff. Eventually, I played my stuff for other people, and I had other friends in music who they kind of introduced me to like the engineering process, mixing and mastering process. So I started doing it myself because I didn't want to go pay another engineer to put hands on it. So I was like, yo, what does he do? Any middleman in an equation, I'm always trying to figure out what do they do so I can learn it. So yeah.
Gotcha. So, talk to me about the first songs that you put out, and have you guys gotten a chance to perform anywhere around Atlanta?
Yeah, man, I performed several places around Atlanta, including my school that I went to, Emory University. I performed at a few open mics around the city. One of them is Buteco Southern Feed Store in East Atlanta. Um, Community Fest with Pain and Sit ATL. I performed at a couple of Pain and Sit ATL events. Um, yeah, a few others, but yeah, I've been around. I performed here in Atlanta more than my hometown for sure. So
Wow.
yeah,
So, who would talk about your projects that you've done with A. Charles, most notably the more recent one you did.
yeah. So with Zell, And I know he A Charles is his stage name, but that's such the homie, man. That's my brother. Like I always refer to him as Zell, or we call him A&R cause A&R because he brought so many of us together. Like all the friends in our group, everybody in our camp, he had a lot to do with bringing so many of us to the one spot that we at right now. And so but long story short, Zell's in DC. He's from here. He's from Stone Mountain, Georgia, and so he'll visit home from time to time and stop by the house, stop by the studio, and we would just cook up. Like we would just make beats. We would like make songs, and I don't even remember how this particular project started, but me and him just decided to make beats together, and he would like give a lot more of his input. I think over time, as our relationship grew, he felt a lot more comfortable giving his input. Not even that he is necessarily the one always putting his hands on the keys or on the laptop, but like he's very vocal about his ideas. And so, yeah, me and him have developed a very like a really good relationship in the studio that I don't really have with too many people. Like Zell will throw out ideas that I'm kind of like, like I don't even know how that's supposed to go together. But I trust him, and through that process, we get to the end of whatever we're making, and it's like super dope, super different. Always gets me out of my element of what I'm used to, and so that kind of led to our project, Carpe Diem. Like he was just here in Atlanta, we was cooking up beats, going back and forth, and he would tell these stories with as he's describing like the sound that he wants to create, and he's like painting these movie scenes, and I'm like, okay. And I have a film background, so it's like I'm kind of able to translate what he's saying to like the actual music, and that's what led to our project, Carpe Diem. And I honestly, I was sitting on it for a minute. Like he wanted me to actually rap on it, but it was so many beats and so different that I think musically at the time I wasn't really there. Not that I wasn't making good music, but like those beats, I was just like, man, look, this is special, and I don't want to be the one to mess it up. So I'm gonna just let him sit for a minute. But after a while, he was just like, bro, we should just put this out. And I'm like, all right, yeah, you're right. So drop the beat tape.
Awesome. And I noticed that I've seen checked your Spotify list. You've dropped quite a few singles
Yeah,
over the
man.
past 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, man. I dropped my first album back in 2020 when I graduated college. And I had been working on an album prior to that when I was in school. It just never came out. Um, but I still plan to release it. Um, but yeah, after I did that project, um, I kind of just started exploring my sound because that first album is produced by one guy. He's from the UK. His name is Charlie J. I think his producer name has changed. It used to be Charlie J Beats. It might be Chops Beats now, but he found me online, sent me a whole beat pack, and it was already sequenced. And so Zell kind of helped me also sequence that album. And since that album, I have been exploring my own sound, like rapping over my own stuff. I was rapping over my own stuff prior to that, but lately it's been more of a like as I'm getting better with engineering myself and recording, um, just making stuff on the fly. Like I don't really write nowadays. I just pull up my laptop, I record in FL, and I punch in everything. It's similar to as if I was you know, just as if I would think of something and write it down with a pen and pad or in my notes, I'm just recording it instead. So a lot of those singles, that's where that's coming from. Just hours put into the studio and just yeah, just dropping. Like right now, I'm at the point where my mixing and mastering, like the vocal templates that I use and everything, um, I can pretty much record a song and upload it the same day, essentially. And so that's kind of just what it's been for me. If it's coming, just let it go, let it flow through. So
Nice. And
yeah.
I noticed that you say you mentioned using Fruity Loops. There was a time like years ago where I thought about using it, but I just didn't mentally have the whole like patience to sit there
Mhm.
and make beats for 3, 4, 5 hours. Like some of the beats I hear are actually really good, but it's like you gotta sit here and make 8, 9, 12 hours. Sometimes you gotta tune the pitch. You gotta
Yeah,
make it
man.
copyrighted. stuff like that. You got to go through all kind of.
Yeah, and I mean, in retrospect, when I look at it, I really put years and like years into this craft at this point. Like I started 2016, it's 2024 now, so about 8 years now, and when I look at that and I look at just some of the learning curves I've had to overcome, it definitely does take time. I will say the quickest way that I have learned different software, because I started out in GarageBand, moved to Logic, um, I moved to Ableton. That's what I primarily make beats in. Mainly because my dad wanted to learn how to produce, and he plays the drums, a little bit of bass, and so I learned Ableton just to teach him. But at the time, Ableton was one of those software where I was like, oh, this looks overwhelming. I don't even see where things go. FL was the same way too, because most of my friends use it. But after a while, I kind of just it's the only thing I use now to record songs. So
I can relate to that, especially with the video editing I do for sports. I switched
mm,
over to DaVinci Resolve a couple months ago. First time I
mm,
tried it, I threw my hands up and I was pretty much had the attitude of, "What the hell is this even for?"
right,
And I
right,
ended up deleting it the same day. But months later, I just started like trying to get the hang of it, and I couldn't ask for a better software.
yeah. Yeah, I
So,
use DaVinci to color grade actually. Yeah, that's all I really use it for though. Everything else I use Premiere Pro. I'm actually working on a music video right now. I shot a year ago. Like I shot it on my birthday last year in July. My birthday is July 20th. So I went to uh I went to Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and I shot a whole music video there on this resort. And so I've been working on that for a little bit, and it's about finished now. So that should be coming
awesome.
out in the next few weeks or so, probably like 2 weeks, something like that.
So, how's the music? How's it like shooting music videos? And are you going to be shooting any that are off your late recent EP that came out, Seasons?
Yeah, yeah. So my recent EP is something smooth and then something too smooth. So I uh I am gonna be filming some stuff for that. I actually just filmed some content for it like 2 days ago. Um my approach nowadays, like, I have a team behind me and like access to good resources, camera equipment. Like we shoot with the Sony FX3, FX6. We got a couple other cameras around here, and I kind of just make a lot of stuff in bulk. Like I'll make songs the fastest as far as any part of the process, and so I just try to upload as fast as I'm creating stuff, and then when I find the time, or let's say the momentum or energy behind a certain song, if it feels like, ooh, like I'm in the season right now, then I'll put more into a music video or putting that type of piece out. um but I will say shooting it by myself has been, it's fun because I get to see my vision all the way through. Like I'm definitely, I consider myself a visionary. Like I'm able to see things pretty vividly from start to finish. When I was in school, we used to have a lot of film projects, and they would try to pair us up with people. But I purposely worked on mine by myself just to learn every stage of, the production process, whether that was pre-planning, on-set production, and then post-production. Like I've done everything from screenwriting to directing, casting, acting a little bit, all that. So when it comes to filming my own music video, I kind of already, it's like I see it in my head and I'm just able to do it because I understand everything that's working around me. So yeah, the most I might have, like when I was on my birthday trip last year shooting it, my girlfriend was with me, so I had her hold like a couple shots, like 2 shots in the video, but that was it.
Nice. And talk to me about the most recent releases, Something Too
Yeah,
Smooth and the song Seasons.
yeah, the song Seasons. So man, I don't know. I feel like well, one, I just got a new job that, to where, I got a pretty, I probably got the biggest promotion I've ever gotten, like in my life so far. I'm 27 now, and so I've I'm very big on like energy and understanding like where I'm at in life, my spirituality, like understanding self. Right now, I'm in a season of blessings, and like it's a really fruitful season for me right now. And what I'm uh we actually have a watermelon patch growing in the front of our house, and like I look at stuff like that as like symbolic and meaningful to me because we've been tossing like our fruit and stuff in the front yard for like a long time. We used to have two trees out in front. We cut them, and all of a sudden now fruits are sprouting from the ground. It's like, dang, why now? You know, and so that's kind of where Seasons was the first song that kind of came about from, at least from the second project. Now, uh the first project, I think I just made that after I got my promotion, and I was also on vacation. I was in Punta Cana for my birthday this year. Um and the first song I made from that project was five no what is it, Days Off. It was called Days Off, and just reminiscing about the time that I was in DC, but now I'm able to like travel and vacation and things that the younger me would be proud of, and that, you know, maybe not so many of my peers back home get to experience as often as I do. And I realized the blessing in that. So that kind of sparked the first tape. Just, I'm usually more serious and like real like rapidy rap, trying to stack the bars on top. But I've been listening to a lot of Larry June lately, and that has really influenced me to make smoother, just easy listen music that's just like some player shit. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what kind of inspired something smooth. And then a producer from the UK, shout out Brayton. His name is Brey 10 on Instagram, and he reached out to me. He's from the UK, and he reached out to me on Instagram one day. I woke up. I think this was like right after I made Seasons, and he was like, "Yo, I really love your sound. Like, it's not too many rappers rapping over that Larry June Alchemist type vibe here where I'm at. So I love to send you some beats." He already sent it to me, and so no, he didn't send it to me. He just sent me that message, and I went to his page and I saw his beats. The first one I clicked on was um what song is that? I'm gonna have to look at it now. It's crazy.
That song Seasons reminds me of one of those videos where you're driving around the city in a nice car, or you're
Mm-hmm.
standing outside an arena or something rapping.
Yep. And that's the I'm starting to pick up on the imagery within music instead of just trying to be a rapping ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to paint a picture for folks. So, the second song on Something Too Smooth, I Wish I Knew, that was the first beat I clicked on Brayton's page. And so I went straight to his YouTube. It got me so inspired and excited. I was trying to like screen record it on his Instagram page, but I went to his YouTube. I just downloaded it. I was like, okay, I loaded that up, recorded that, and he was like, "Shoot, if that's how you feeling, here, I'm gonna send you more." And he sent me like, I think four more. He sent me a lot more. Like he sent me like two packs after that, and I just ran through them like real quick. And that's how Something Too Smooth came about. Seasons was just another YouTube beat that I found, and I was like, bro, this is hard. It's some Larry June type beat, and I just loaded it up. But yeah, that's Something Too Smooth. Something Too Smooth is more like, it's still a player, but it's more real conversations, like more of like my grown man intellect that I've developed since being young and unaware, and so that's kind of what that conversation is in that song.
Yeah, and it's really great that you're using your platform for that. I mean, I just listened to Courtside Vision the other day. It definitely is a
I
it's
think Courtside Vision might be my favorite. A lot of people like Right on Time, but Courtside Vision is very personal. Like that song is like that song is so personal to me, and like where I come from, where I grew up. So that song hits different for me, like very different. When I got to the end of that one, I was like, "Ooh, all right, this is it. Like I'm talking on here." So
exactly. It kind of reminds me of like one of J. Cole's songs saying they dream quiet trying to dodge a suit and tie, which can mean more than one thing.
mhm, mhm. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I see that you also have a YouTube page where you also, in addition to your beats, you also talk about all the stuff that you've done. So tell us about that.
Yeah, man. So I have so much on my YouTube, from like series, like recording songs, making beats. Um, I might have some vlogs on there. I got a lot of music videos on there, beats on there. But I do have my podcast. That's probably the most popular thing on there right now. Um, or at least what a lot of people know my YouTube or my video content for. I have a podcast called the Solo Dolo Podcast, which was pretty much just inspired by the way I think and the way I observe life as I go through it on my solo dolo days. Or, most of the time I'm by myself. Like I have a decent sized friend group, but when I make a lot of moves and go a lot of places by myself. And I've always been an observer. Like I've always, just been watching people, my surroundings, just being aware since I was a kid. And I think I'm observing that about myself more now as an adult, and kind of just getting symbolic messages through life, whether it's situations at work, situations that happen just out in random stores or random places. And I'm just connecting it to life lessons that can actually be applied to other areas of life. And it's all about perspective, so I'm just there to share my perspective. It went viral on Instagram when I posted a video about um being okay with where you are, and understand and taking time to understand where you are more than anything, because we're always so focused on being somewhere else other than where we are, and where we are maybe trying to teach us how to get to where we're trying to go if we just actually pay more attention to it and be more attentive. So um that's kind of what sparked the Solo Dolo podcast, and it went viral on Instagram, probably got like over 20,000 views, and people were just like sharing it, following. And I was like, okay, I'll do this more. So it's kind of what that led from. And I've also had conversations on there based on my music too, because a lot of my songs are like real conversations that people can have like out loud, or at least conversations that I have with myself. That's what the whole podcast is about. The conversation you have with yourself that you don't say out loud. So
Yeah, and well, you've just gained another sub to your podcast. I'll have to check that out.
yeah, for sure. I appreciate that.
No problem. So, how what are your plans for the future as far as music goes, as far as music videos, future album?
Man, it's I've realized that it's so much that I planned to do when I was like first starting out. So many album concepts and things of that nature. I think right now I'm just taking it as it comes and trying to like, what I'm learning in this season right now is that if there's fruit growing on the vine, pick it, because it will rot on the vine. You know what I'm saying? And so just taking things as they come, whether that's music, opportunities to shoot content, put it out, promote myself, and even like events like shows, like we've done festivals, we've done um, our artist showcase. We actually just got invited out to do a artist showcase at a pizza spot owned by Two Chains. So I'm in the process of talking with the manager for that, and setting that up. So that should be coming up soon. But just building enough of it. I want to have my run in music as a rapper, producer, engineer. Um, this girl recently, I met this girl at this event at that same pizza spot recently, and when I told her everything I do, she said, "Oh, you Mr. Everything." I'm just trying to do that. Like I want to be Mr. Everything and just do everything I know how to do it well, and have an impact on the culture and a lot of other people in the game itself. And then after that, I think later just get into like more spaces like film, fashion, like do the things that I can see in my vision and see it out. So
Awesome. And where can people follow your work at?
you can follow me on Instagram, Chris Hovers underscore. If you at this point, like if you search Google, if you Google search Chris Hovers, you'll find everything I do, whether it's my TikTok, YouTube, um, podcast, like everything. You'll find me. So yeah,
Awesome. Chris, thank you for hopping on the Tapped In with Tony. It was a pleasure getting a chance to speak with you, and I'll definitely check out more of your music as time goes on.
definitely, man. I appreciate it. It's dope that you're doing this. Real talk. I love this.
Thank you. Thank you. And you guys can check out Tapped In with Tony on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts at. So thanks again for tuning in, and see you next time.